Welcome to Natural Fluency.
In the last video, we trained 3 types of sound change in connected speech: separating, merging, and weakening. That was about how sounds change when they connect. Today is about how sounds change when they lose stress. That's a completely different dimension. Let's feel it right now. Take the word important. If you pronounce the middle T too strongly, almost like a full separate syllable, it sounds awkward. In natural English, that T often gets weaker or nearly disappears. Why? Because it sits in an unstressed position. Many learners practice the stressed sounds carefully, but let the unstressed parts fall apart. In real English, though, the trouble often starts in the weak parts. Strong sounds are usually easy to hear. What breaks your listening and speaking is not knowing what happens when the energy drops. If you practice along with me, you'll start to feel the rules behind English weak positions. Here's today's core principle. An unstressed position is a weak position, but it's not a free-for-all. Today has 4 parts. First, L weakening. Second, T becoming a glottal stop. Third, function word reduction. And fourth, why not every unstressed vowel turns into Schwa? Let's go one by one. First, Lu weakening. Normally, Lu requires the tongue tip to reach up toward the gum ridge. But in fast speech, especially in unstressed positions, the mouth is already preparing the next sound, and the tongue tip doesn't fully make it to the Lu position. So Lu can sound weaker, blurred, or almost like a faint vowel. Now look at the screen. This happens especially when Lu is followed by lip sounds like p, b, or m. Why? Because the lips jump ahead to prepare the next sound before the tongue tip fully reaches Lu. Let's look at a few examples. First, film. If you say it slowly, the Lu may sound more fully present, but in faster speech, the Lu often doesn't stand up strongly. It can get weaker. Let's do it together. Film. Film. Good. This time, don't try to make the Lu too strong. Let it pass quickly and lightly. Film. Film. Good. Next, small boat. Here too, Lu is followed right away by the lip sound B. So instead of standing out as a fully separate sound, the Lu often becomes weaker and faster. Small boat. Small boat. Good. Next, school bus. School bus. School bus. Good. Now let's look at cases where final L becomes weaker, especially when a word ends with something like PL, BL, KL, or GL. The final L often sounds less sharply separate. Look at the screen. Apple, people, eagle, able. Let's do them together. Apple, apple. People, people. Eagle, eagle. Able, able. Good. Now here's the important point. To be clear, I'm not telling you to delete L. The point is simply this. In unstressed positions, Lu doesn't always come through fully separate and clear. And one more important point. Lu doesn't always get weak. Look at the screen. Milk, silk, shelf, bulk. In words like these, the Lu still stays relatively clear. Let's do them together. Milk, milk. Silk, silk. Shelf, shelf. Bulk, bulk. Good. So yes, Lu can weaken in fast, unstressed speech, but not every Lu disappears. Good. Second, T becoming a glottal stop. This time the tongue tip is no longer doing the work. Instead, T gets caught briefly in the throat. In phonetics, this is called a glottal stop. Remember the T in important from the opening? This is exactly what's happening. Normally, T releases clearly with the tongue tip. But in fast speech, the throat takes over, a quick catch and release, instead of a tongue tip tap. Think of it this way: the throat does the job the tongue was going to do. This happens especially often when T comes between a weak vowel and N. Look at the screen. Written, kitten, cotton, mitten, important. These words share a pattern, a T in the middle, followed by a weak vowel and N. In natural speech, that weak vowel reduces and the T doesn't fully release, so the whole middle section sounds compressed. Let's start with written. Written, written. Good. This time, don't try to burst that middle T strongly, like a full separate syllable. Let it catch in the throat and move straight into N. Written, written. Good. Next, kitten, kitten, kitten. Good. Next, cotton, cotton, cotton. Good. Next, mitten, mitten, mitten. Good. Next, important, important, important. Good. Just like the flap in the previous video, you're not inventing a new sound. Simply stop forcing the full T. Let it catch in the throat, then move straight into the nasal. Now let's go to sentences. I've written it down. I've written it down. Good. The kitten is sleeping. The kitten is sleeping. Good. That's important. That's important. Good. Third, function word reduction. So far, we've seen single consonants weaken or change. Now, we scale up. This time, it's not just one sound, so entire words get reduced. This is function word reduction. This is critical for real conversation. Most learners focus on catching content words, but native speakers often don't say function words fully or clearly. That's where comprehension breaks down. Let's clear up one common misunderstanding. Function words don't get weak because they're unimportant. They get weak because they're predictable. English spends less energy on the parts the listener can already expect. That's how English stays efficient. Now look at the screen. Give him. If you say it slowly, you may hear give him clearly. But in natural speech, the huh often weakens or disappears, and the phrase connects much faster. Let's do it together. Give him. Give him. Give him. Good. Next. Tell her. Tell her. Tell her. Good. Next. Give them. Here the th often weakens. Pushing the tongue tip forward for th is too slow for fast speech. Give them. Give 'em. Give 'em. Good. Now let's move to a very important group of contractions. Look at the screen. Should have asked, should have gone, could have done, would have seen. In these expressions, have weakens when it's unstressed. The huh drops easily, and depending on the sounds around it, the whole word can reduce even further. Let's start with should have asked. If you say it slowly, it sounds like should have asked. Naturally, it moves toward should have asked. Let's do it together. Should have asked. Should have asked. Should have asked. Good. Next, should have gone. Because another consonant follows, the v in have can weaken even more. Should have gone. Should have gone. Should have gone. Good. Next, could have done. Could have done. Could have done. Good. Remember, you don't have to say every function word at full strength, but you can't erase them carelessly either. They weaken to support rhythm, but inside the flow, they're still doing real work. Now let's move to sentences. Give him a call. Give him a call. Good. Tell her later. Tell her later. Good. You should have asked. You should have asked. Good. We could have done it. We could have done it. Good. Fourth, why not every unstressed vowel becomes schwa? Now the final part. So far, we've looked at consonants weakening and words reducing. This time, the change is in the vowels themselves. In the earlier video, we introduced schwa, the weak vowel that slips through unstressed positions. But if you take that rule too far, you start converting every unstressed vowel into automatically. Real English doesn't work like that. Even in unstressed syllables, the original vowel color often survives. How much it weakens depends on speed, context, and the speaker. Look at the screen. Emit, event, effect, direct, decide, defend, elect, select, became. If you turn every first weak vowel in these words into a flat the result actually sounds less natural. In emit, the E matters. In event, the E is still there. Same with effect. Even though the first syllable is weak, flattening everything into event or effect works against you. Let's do them together. Emit, emit. Event, event. Effect, effect. Good. Next, direct. Decide, defend. These words are also often over-reduced into something like the beginning, but it's much better to keep the original D-E-N feeling clear. Direct, direct. Decide, decide. Defend, defend. Good. Next, elect, select, became. Elect, elect, elect. Select, select. Became, became. Good. I'm not saying you should pronounce unstressed vowels at full strength. They can still weaken, but the original vowel color may still be there. So don't apply a mechanical rule. Unstressed equals always schwa. That's too simple. Now let's move to sentences. The event begins soon. The event begins soon. This will affect us. This will affect us. Please decide now. Please decide now. She became famous. She became famous. Good. Now let's wrap up. One principle runs through all 4 parts today. It's the same one we started with. An unstressed position is a weak position, but it's not a position where anything goes. If you follow the series this far, you now have 4 layers in place. Every English sound, consonant linking, sound changes in connected speech, and the rules for unstressed positions. Thank you for watching.